Hello. Um, Interesting day. I totally forgot to do a video from one of my anniversary dates. I've got 2 years, 9 months, and 2 days now. Once again, it's probably a good thing that I seem to keep forgetting my anniversary dates because it's totally normalized for me now. You know, which is good. It's very good. I had a good meeting with some powers that be. They're gonna help me out with my current living situation and stuff. So that was good. But no, I my old sponsor called me up tonight. We were supposed to play some golf, which we did. We got to played a few holes, no pun intended. But called me up about maybe 3 hours before a particular meeting was going off, and needed someone to give a lead in a crunch. And part of my program in sobriety is when it comes to things like meetings, running groups, things like this, volunteer work, I don't ever say no, unless there's some dire emergency or prior engagement I can't change. Um, as some of you know, I actually have almost paralyzing stage fright, which makes it a little difficult to give a lead sometimes. So I was very nervous. I felt like it was very discombobulated and all over the place, but apparently everyone at the meeting got something out of it, which always makes me happy. You know, and it kind of brings me to the point of sometimes it's the simplest act of kindness that can make or break somebody's day. And don't ever be afraid to tell your story because you never know. You could say one sentence that could save somebody's life. Give you a great example. Years ago, one of the times I was homeless, I've been homeless several times. By definition, I'm homeless now, but whatever. Um, it's my choice. Uh, I was panhandling, and it was, I don't remember if it was Christmas Eve or Christmas. And I was by a particular coffee franchise. There was a whole line going through the drive-through, and uh, I remember it was an SUV, and the window was cracked about this much, and there was a woman in there, and I was just doing my standard thing. I had my sign, and as people came by, if their windows were down, I would just say, Merry Christmas. And I said, Merry Christmas to this woman. She kind of looked at me funny, and she just kind of sat there for a second, and then she looked at me again. She said, thank you, Merry Christmas to you as well. I said, you're welcome. I didn't think anything of it. About 20 minutes go by. She pulls back around, hands me a sandwich, a hot chocolate, and $50 in cash. And she said, I just wanted to tell you, you were the first person in my entire life who wished me a Merry Christmas. I was like, oh. And she said, I just want you to know it actually made my day. Like, she goes, it completely changed my outlook today. She goes, here you are out in the cold, homeless, and you still have a kind enough heart to, you know, just be gracious. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So you never know, you know. And I've talked about that before on this channel a lot, you know. But yeah, like with my lead, there were quite a few people who commented that The one guy got something out of it because he related to, my childhood. I didn't have a traumatic or abusive childhood at all. I actually came from a very loving family. Yeah, my parents did get divorced when I was in my teens, but they actually ended up becoming better friends after the fact. So they actually had a somewhat better relationship after they were divorced, ironically. Um, so it wasn't those things that led me down my road of addiction or anything like that. But I had always felt very isolated, black sheepish, out of place. Never really felt like I fit in, and it allowed me to, that and the fact that my father was in the military, so we moved around a lot. I learned how to become a chameleon very quickly, and I learned how to adapt to the rooms I was in and the people I was around to feel like I would fit in. But unfortunately, I never really did. Um, and this person related to that, and there were quite a few other comments and stuff. So it was nice. It was good. I mean, I was nervous and everything, but honestly, I'm grateful that he did call me and ask me, because I think overall I got just as much out of it as the people I gave the lead to. Um, I guess I'm just grateful that I have survived, healed, and grown enough that my message can help. Um, and even if something doesn't strike a chord and resonate with somebody immediately, oftentimes I have found that a lot of times there are things I say that will plant seeds, and people will come back to me 6 months later, a year later, sometimes 5 years later, and be like, you know what, you were right, and you said A, B, and C. I've had that happen quite often in my life, more often now than I had in the past, and I've spoken on that too. That you know, a lot of times there are seeds I will plant that I rarely get to see germinate and bear fruit. But I have been witnessing it more and more as I've gotten older, and maybe that's it. It just took time. It used to be pretty discouraging to me, and I don't get discouraged by that anymore. You know, so don't be afraid to share your strength, hope, and experiences. They say, and it's ironic too because I've actually been thinking now for a couple of weeks, that I was going to redo my lead in video format for all of you, which I will do. It'll probably be a little longer than the one I gave tonight. I think the one I gave tonight was only about 25 minutes or something. Typically, the format is supposed to be about 45 minutes to an hour. Um, but this way I can at least kind of reformat it. Um, Not be so all over the place. It will be, I'm not going to pre write it or anything like that. So it will still be from the heart and be authentic in the moment. What I like to do. Stream of consciousness, as it was put to me one time. So, anyway, hope you all have a blessed night.